Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Welcome again after a long break. And our previous topic was on that of the tissues. We discussed in previous topics the type of the epithelial tissues, and again we discussed it in the later topics. It was the muscular tissue, that about voluntary and involuntary muscles. We just called it skeletal and skeletal muscles and smooth muscle and straighted muscles like unstraighted and straightened muscles. So today we'll discuss the another topic of the muscular tissue that we just called as the cardiac muscles. Okay, cardiac muscles. अब कार्डियक मसल्स के फीचर्स क्या है? जैसे इन जो प्रीवियस जो मतलब टाइप्स थे इसके, तो उसमें मैंने आपको बताया था अबाउट द फीचर्स के just we call them voluntary, just we call them skeletal because they are attached with that of the bones, and they are to be called as straightened muscles because they do have striations, where the unstraightened muscles do not have striations. They do not possess alternate light and dark bands. But today what we are going to what we will know, we'll just we will just go through the type of the tissue, muscular tissue rather, which is called it, that's cardiac muscles. You know that these cardiac muscles, they consist of short cylindrical fibers, short cylindrical fibers which are joined end to end. Okay, they are short cylindrical fibers. They are short cylindrical fibers which are joined end to end to form the network like this. These are cylindrical fibers. Okay, they are short cylindrical and joined. Here this muscle cell is joined with the another. Here again they are joined. Here again these are joined. They are this form the network. Okay, so these muscle cells, these cardiac muscles, they are short cylindrical which are joined end to end, and you know that they are branched like that. In the previous जो आपने muscles देखिए वहाँ पे जो आपने straightened muscles देखिए, unstraightened muscles थे, maybe they were cylindrical, they were having the nucleus in the center, maybe they were having the nucleus towards the periphery or towards the sarcolemma. But here you are finding that here the each muscle fiber, they are branched, they have branches, but they were earlier muscles we discussed were unbranched, but here the muscles are branched. यहाँ पे जो muscles हैं वो branched हैं, and each cardiac muscle or fiber consists of one or more nuclei rather situated in the center. यहाँ पे न्यूक्लियस आपको सेंटर में मिलेगा. एक one nucleus or a cell will contain one or more than one nucleus. Okay, a cell may contain one nucleus or it may contain more than one nucleus, but each of the nucleus is situated rather in the center of the cell. Okay, each nucleus of the cardiac fiber or muscle is situated within the center of the cell, and you are again finding the fat striations. Fat alternate light and dark bands. So these are the characteristics of these muscles, that these muscles, just finding that these muscles, they are cylindrical, consists of short cylindrical fibers which are joined end to end. Okay, and to form the network. And I just mentioned again that each cardiac fiber consists of one or more nuclei situated in the center, and also they show the fat striations. And then another important characteristics about these cardiac muscles, they are involuntary. They are involuntary means they are the muscles that are not under our control. I mean, it's set under our will. They don't work rather according to our will. Okay, that's why they work throughout the day. They work throughout the day and throughout the night to keep we people alive, to supply the essential nutrients, to supply the hormones, to supply the enzymes, to supply the necessary requirements to the different parts of the body. So that's why we just call these muscles. And another feature, that they are involuntary, they work, they do not work rather according to our will. Okay, so we just call them involuntary muscles. So certain of the features you must keep it in mind, that these muscles are short, cylindrical fibers, joined end to end, and it consists of one or each nucleus. Each of the muscle cell or cardiac muscle may consist of one or more nucleus within the center, and they show fat striations. Fat alternate light and dark bands, and also are involuntary in action, means that they don't work rather according to our will. Okay, now next one, this is the diagrammic representation of it. Like that, the cells do possess the sarcoplasma, the cytoplasm of the cell. They possess the intercalated discs. Okay, they do possess the sarcolemma, and these are the bronchioid. They possess the one or prominent nucleus within the center of the cell. These are the features of these characteristics of these cardiac muscles. Now, occurrence confined to the walls of the heart. And you know that our heart consists of the cardiac, it's made up of the cardiac muscles. Okay, cardiac muscles. Pulmonary veins. And let me mention here, what do you mean by pulmonary vein? There's a difference between pulmonary vein and pulmonary artery. And maybe you know it, uh, that any of the blood vessel that supplies blood from heart, or that carries blood from heart to the different parts of the body, it's to be called as artery. And the any of the blood vessel that carries blood from the different parts of the body to the heart, it's to be called as vein. And you must know that pulmonary veins are the veins that carry the oxygenated blood, the oxygen rich blood, from the lungs to the heart. And these pulmonary veins, these blood vessels that carry blood from lungs to the heart, carries the oxygenated blood, oxygen rich blood to the heart, is made up of cardiac muscles. And superior vena cava, you know that we receive the blood from the different parts of the heart from the two main veins. One is to be called as superior vena cava, and another is to be called as inferior vena cava. So superior vena cava receives the blood from the upper, it collects the blood from the upper parts of the body, where the inferior vena cava collects the body from the lower parts of the body. So superior vena cava is the blood vessel that receives the blood from the upper parts, and uh, uh, drops this blood into the heart, and this is the blood vessel that's also made up of cardiac muscles. Now, what's the function? You know that these cardiac muscles contract and relax rapidly and continuously, but never gets fatigue. Okay, their functions is altogether, we finding that these cardiac muscles, they contract and relax rapidly and continuously. They don't stop. They work 24 into 7. एज आई गिव द एग्जांपल, जैसे मैंने अभी हार्ट की एग्जांपल आपको दी कि दिस इज द पंपिंग ऑर्गन that is the that provides the essential nutrients, that transports the nutrients, that help in the transport of enzymes, that help in the transport of various minerals to the different parts of the body. So to keep the different metabolic activities going on, this is an important function of the heart, that due to its contraction and relaxation, we just called as periodic contraction and relaxation of heart, is to be called as heartbeat. And because of this heartbeat or periodic contraction and relaxation, keeps the essential nutrients in run, or keeps the essential nutrients, makes the supply of essential nutrients successful, so that the various cells, where cells get the requirements. So it's because of this periodic contraction and relaxation of the cardiac muscles. But they never gets fatigue, and you know that they don't they don't stop working, like as our different types of muscles, like as we have the skeletal muscles, we work, they work according to our will. Uh, they also show some sort of like this we just call them, they also show some sort of uh, rest. But this is the type of the tissue that underwork, that works 24 and 7 tirelessly, I mean say that continuously, and never gets fatigue, so makes the essential supply continue. Okay, keeps these things, keeps the supplies, hormones, enzymes, and the nutrients to make it possible to transport these essential supplies to the different parts of the body. It's because of this characteristic feature that they don't stop their work. They work continuously throughout the, even though throughout the life, we can just say life of an human beings, till the life of an human beings, they don't stop work. So this is the feature of the cardiac muscles. Now in the next, we'll study the another type of the tissue that we just called as the nervous tissue. And you know that this nervous tissue, our brain, our spinal cord, our nerves, sensory motor neurons, okay, these all are made up of the type of the cell, or type of a cell that's to be called as neuron. Okay, that's to be called as neuron, or you also called it neurocell. Neuron, or it's also to be called as neurocell or neuron. And we have to discuss that is the nervous tissue. As you know that this nervous tissue is packed densely with the nerve cells called neurons. And you know that nervous tissue, it's finds makes its presence in the brain, in the spinal cord, and in the nerves. So you'll finding the neurons, you'll finding the nervous tissue, you'll finding the neurons or nerve cells in the brain, in the spinal cord, and in the nerves. And what is the function of this? What's the function of the neurons? What's the function of the nerve cell? You know that they conduct no impulse. They pursue the things from the atmosphere, from the environment rather, and convert this into an impulse, and transmit that impulse to the brain, receive accordingly receive the informations, accordingly receive the strategies, and again transmit this impulse from the brain to the target organ, which may be to be called as a sensor, which is to be called as the which is a muscle or a gland. Okay, then it forms with the gland, as it with the muscle it forms a neuromuscular junction or neuroglandular junction, whatever it may be. But the function of the neuron is that it help it help for conduction of neuro impulse. तो यहाँ मैं बताना आपको चाहूँगा what is neuro impulse. neuro impulse होती क्या है? Neuroimpulse is self-propagative electrochemical signal. It's self-propagative electrochemical signal. Self-propagative, electro and chemical. So it transmits in electric signals and the chemical signals. So we just call it a self-propagative. Nothing makes. There is not an agent. There's not an agency. There's not any sort of mm, any sort of push that makes this impulse to transmit. So it's a self propagative, खुद चलती है. Electrochemical signal, मैंने क्यों बोला electrochemical? It's electrical and chemical in nature. So this conduction, this transmission, it's electrical and chemical in nature. That will discuss in the coming lecture. Okay, so we just called it a self propagative electrochemical signal. self-propagative electrochemical signals. So this is the topic which we have to discuss in the coming lecture, where I will just go through the structure of the neuron. Okay, जहाँ पे हम डिस्कस करेंगे स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ न्यूरॉन के बारे में. सो ये जो हमारा टॉपिक रहेगा, ये फ्यूचर जो मैं कमिंग वीडियो अपलोड करूँगा उसमें मैं आपको बताऊँगा अबाउट द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द न्यूरॉन एंड the functions of the different parts of the neuron. Thanks and